Perek Yud Mishnah Yud Gimel. Very interesting Mishnah. Kol Shebiyom Tahor. We've actually had reference to this before in the beginning of Perek Yud, where the Mishnah said there, Atzmos Hadog V'Oiroi. Anything made from a fish, or from some sort of sea creature, Bartuno tells us whether it's made from the bones of the fish or from the skin of the fish, anything which comes from the sea is tahor. There are many yafusas for this. Whether this actually includes things which are inanimate, for instance, if you make kלים from seaweed, the Rambam says, yes, if you make kלים from seaweed, it's also included in this din, it's tahor. Anything from the sea is tahor. Says the Mishnah, Chutz mi kelev hamayim. There's one exception, something called a water dog. Not sure what this is. Maybe it's some sort of dolphin or some sort of turtle or a sea lion. There's an expression, an old sea dog. I'm not sure what this means. A kelev hamayim is an exception. Although it's a sea animal, if you make kלים from its skin or from the bones, it's tomei. And it's called oir, it's called skin. It hasn't got a din of bria shebayom because it very often escapes to dry land. Divrei Rabbi Akiva. Because it's got these words, Divrei Rabbi Akiva, it would seem that the Tanakama, the Chachamim argue, and they would actually say that the kelev hamayim is included in the bria shebayom and is tahor like they all are. The Rambam actually does not paskin this din, because it seems, the Mefarshim say, the Rambam actually paskins like the Tanakama. And the reason why he paskins like the Tanakama, because this is a case of a machloikus, and in the next Mishnah we'll see, Mishnah Yudalad, there's a stam Mishnah, and there it seems to suggest that anything which was created on Wednesday, in other words, anything which we call fish, and the kelev hamayim being one of them, it says anything created on Wednesday is tahor, and therefore we have a stam, we have a machloikus, v'achakach stam, and the loch is like the stam Mishnah. The Mishnah carries on. If you make a keli out of one of these things which are tahor because they come from the sea, and you attach to them something which grows from the land, even if it's just a thread, mashicha is another type of thread, a small strip. Something which is not from the sea, something which is makabel tumah because it comes from the land, then it's tomei. This is an interesting din here. A chut and a mashicha are actually not makabel tumah. A beged has to have a certain shear, so a single thread is actually not makabel tumah. However, the Mefarshim say, and again, there's many ways to learn this Mishnah, when it says the words davar shu makabel tumah, it means it comes from a min, from a kind of something. The material is one which could be makabel tumah if it were a proper beged. And this chut and mashicha comes from tzemer or pishtim, and therefore it comes from a min which is makabel tumah, although it itself is not makabel tumah. That's number one. Now you're attaching it to this overall keli made from a davar hagadol b'yom, which is tahor. Now under the rules of chibur, it depends why you did this. It depends what's the ikar, what's the tafel. We've had this before. When you have a keli made from different materials, you always have to go according to the one which is the oiseh malacha. So the question is, what is the chut and mashicha doing here? Surely they cannot be the oiseh malacha. It wouldn't make the whole thing into a davar, a min hagadol ba'aretz. So this is actually an exception to the rule, according to a lot of Mefarshim. It's a gzeres hakosov, that even if you add one single thread from one of the minim which is makabel tumah, and the words of the Raavad are, I'll read you out the words of the Raavad. Just 1 second. The Raavad says, Kegoin, shetfara imo, you sewed it on. Shunira ke'ilu hu mimenu, it looks as if it comes from the item, v'noisaf imo, and added to it, as opposed to, it says, lafukishim osa toloi, if you just add it on as a patch where you can see it's something new, if it's made in such a way that it appears that it is part of the beged, there's a gzeres hakosov, that the whole thing is now rendered to be a davar which comes from the ground, from the earth, not from the sea, and therefore the normal rules apply. It's makabel tumah because it's either a beged or because it's got a shem oir made from the skin of this animal. That's a gzeres hakosov, and that's Mishnah Yud Gimel. And Mishnah Yudalad is completely agadata, it would seem. And